Good evening, all our viewers all over the world. Welcome to another special edition of the Bakwetu TV. Today I'm with our resident MP, Honorable Hon Mabeta, and our resident pharmacist, Mr. Jerome Kanika. Welcome, both of you.
Thank you. Yeah, and good evening, the viewers.
Yeah, thank you, Patrick. Jerome, Happy New Year. We haven't seen each other this year. It's good to have you today around.
Yeah, but definitely, actually, I should mention that I've been planning to visit you in Mufulira there. Yeah, because me, I'm just nearby in Rwanda. It's just that the first days of a year tends to be very difficult on my part with movements, but I'm almost getting there. So expect me in Mufulira anytime, Honorable.
No, it will be such a great thing to have you around, Jerome.
Good to have you, both of you. And I'm told people have been asking for Honorable Jerome Kanika. Now you're here, so I can see the numbers are going on fast. And our viewers, wherever you're watching us from, start sending those stars and also become the members of Bakwetu TV. It's only $4 and about £3.70. In kwacha is about 80 kwacha. No, less than 80 kwacha, 75 kwacha or 70 kwacha, which I believe most Zambians can afford. On today's program, we're going to talk about various topics or issues or events on Zambia. The first part we're going to talk about is obviously this program is the Wednesday program with Honorable Mabeta. So, Honorable Mabeta, can you just update us on your community engagement that that you are doing in Mufulira and other parts of the country? Thank you.
Okay, I think Jerome, Pachirusha, it was a well-known fact that the president had announced that parliament is closed, so he expected the members of parliament to go back to our respective constituencies to engage the people, explain government programs, and hear from them what the expectation and what they think about what the government has put in place. So I think it's been a month of engagement with the community, which unfortunately came to an end today. From our phase one, I think we've been in all the wards. We visited all the 9 wards and the farming block, just to engage them and explain to them what the government has put in place. So from our engagement, I think we are accepting to say the information, there's been a gap of information between what the government has put in place and the person on the grassroots, that person, the sweeper, the person who does the daily chores to understand what the government has put in place. the response has been overwhelming, and there's been a lot of understanding on the direction and the policy the government is putting in place and what they're expecting. So I think the 2022 budget has sent a lot of shockwaves. A lot of Zambians are very impressed with what we put in place. And when I explain the things which are in the budget against the cost of living, against the high fuel prices, there's an understanding to say it's worth it to lose some and gain what the government has put in place. So the 2022 budget has made it very easy for any MP to go back to the community and explain to them what has been put in place. So the engagement has been very good. I think about moments, emotional moments. We've seen now that the Zambians are now asking questions to say, but how come the things which are happening now has been difficult in the past? How come it was so impossible for a member of parliament 4 months down the road, being in office, would go back to the people and explain? Literally, in the past, there was nothing to talk about. You know, we had the budget which didn't have any value, any budget lines which benefited the people. So the increase of the CDA from 1.6 to 25.7, the free education, the recruitment of teachers, the recruitment of nurses, has made it very easy to engage to the community and explain what they should expect this year. So the 2022 budget, for me, I can say is a turning point for the people of Zambia. Is something which has changed the perspective and expectation. In the past, whenever the community saw the MP, it was the first thing they thought from the MP is, how much are you giving us at the end of the day? It was, I can say, handout situation. But now, after the meeting, everybody's satisfied. They don't even want anything from the MP because they have gotten hope. So we are changing even the political narrative of a member of parliament from being a mobile ATM to be a program carrier. We're carrying the programs of the government. So there's even that deeper respect and understanding to say the reason we vote is to bring change in our lives. The change which is supposed to be brought by the government, but not by an individual. So the 2022 budget has really changed the narrative of our political landscape in our society.
Honorable Mabeta, before I ask Honorable Kanyika to ask you a question, on the CDF, which has been increased from 1.6 million to 25 million kwacha, which is about $1.6 million, which is a very good thing the government has done, moving the money from Lusaka to near to the people, which is more or less decentralizing the government. But there've been some challenges, or there are some people from the opposition, and I'll be very specific. I was listening to a program on the other day on one of the TV programs. This is Honorable, none other than Honorable Lusambo. Honorable Lusambo, if I can quote him, he was saying, why is the government giving us 25 million? Who is going to manage that money? And that money will be misused. Why can't you just give us the same money you were giving us and take the other money? What is your comment about that? And if you have heard the comment, that comment, just say yes if you've done that.
I heard it, and mostly, basically, I take Honorable Samba as a comedian, a person who says things it doesn't mean. All he does is comedy, because the serious person wouldn't. It's like I'm a father who wants to increase the amount of location I want to be spending home, and I tell my wife we're going to increase this money which we'll be spending home for the development of the family and the benefit of the people who we're working for. And my wife tells me, no, I've got no capacity to manage it. I'll find that to be a joker. All the government has done is to give us more resources for us to be able to engage the people, to tell us what they want. When they tell us what they want, we then engage the relevant authority at local governments, At local government, you've got qualified Zambians, well qualified, others with masters, others with about skilled degrees, who are going to be managing the program. The member of parliament doesn't manage government, doesn't execute government programs. All we do is proposals are made, we approve them. The government, the executive takes over the implementation of the program through the central government and local government. So when you go to the local government, they've got qualified procurement, all the qualifications are there. So it's not a member of parliament to execute those works, but the local government to implement. Our role is to do an oversight to ensure that what has been done is done in accordance with what has been agreed or the guidelines. We are not the one who implements projects in our constituencies. And that's the point I made it clear even to the people who are engaging to say the implementation of the projects will be done by the local government. A member of parliament doesn't execute government programs. No. All we do is to approve them. After we approve them, we become a voice and provide an oversight to ensure that things are done correctly. So it's not about me to worry the capacity of the government, the local government and the central government to execute government programs. So it's the joker is all he does is just play jokes. You know, he doesn't know when to be serious and when to do jokes. At times when it comes to issue of development, these are issues which affect human life. People want schools so that the children can have access to free education. Our people in our community, they want access to healthcare. They want desks. They want empowerment programs to give them a start to life. They want a lot of different things to help them come out of this abject poverty which we've been facing for a long time. So whoever is against them doesn't mean well for the community.
Thank you so much, Honorable Mabeta, for that clear explanation of to the people regarding how the CDF money is going to be expended. Thank you so much. But Jerome, have you got any question to Honorable Mabeta on what he's just told us?
Yeah, thank you, Patrick. Actually, Honorable, for your own information, I do follow a lot of your programs, actually. And one of the programs you are owning as the man. I don't know what you're owning as. I don't know, Honorable.
Kupondoka.
Yeah, you're owning as. So say, no, Honorable, no, Bambon Group, Honorable. Why is so, Honorable? Yeah, I don't know. There's about 198 that has been released by the government for the school bursaries. What have you prepared for the people in Kankoyo, Honorable, with that money that the president has released?
Yeah, basically 198 million divided by 156 will give you 2.7 million kwacha. That's a support we should go towards. The first of all priority is that brilliant grade 7 pupil while she's still 11, 12 years, who's got the capacity to go to boarding school, but they've got no sponsor. Those who are going to sponsor them outright without any doubt. Because that money is meant to tap talent, to support human capital at the lowest level. You know, in the past, we used to have these kids who are so brilliant in the communities. They would get good results. They can't go to boarding school. They end up being at the basic school. What happens? Society takes over their influence. They start noticing that they're girls. They start noticing that they're boys who can also smoke marijuana, can drink beer. When they get to grade 9, their brilliance starts getting diluted. Before they grade 12, they're pregnant. They've dropped school, so have lost a resource we should have tapped at a very tender age. So something the UPND government has done through President Akande Ichilema is to identify potential at necessary stage. You know, this is something we should be all proud of. We are looking at human capital. This is the first time a grade 7 child is getting a bursary. Bursaries were only known for people who are going to universities and maybe some colleges. But today we have got a child as early as grade 7 having the support of the government to tap them. That's a motivation factor. Because this kid will be working hard wherever they go to say. If I don't want to lose this support, I need to keep on working hard and getting good results. So 10 years from now, we're going to have doctors, engineers, scientists who have worked hard because they didn't want to lose the support they were getting from the government. So this is a very good motivation. When you send them to boarding school, they're going to compete with high-performing students, high-performing pupils. That competition makes them become better students. So this investment, which has come this year, is going to have a future, a better and brilliant human capital, which we need all for development. The second class, obviously, is you have friends, you have got youths who could have missed that chance. You have those brilliant kids who are not supported at a tender age, but they're still brilliant. They can go to any skill development school. They train because of the CDF and the emphasis on empowering the locals to do the jobs. We'll need a lot of skilled labor to execute to execute these projects we're going to have on our community. So they can go to trade schools, they train bricklaying, they do carpentry, they do metalwork, they do machining, different skills which they can execute even at their lowest level of education, as long as they can read and write so that they can interpret what they are learning. So there's an opportunity even to develop youths who could have missed an opportunity to go through the normal education system. And Kankoyo is so lucky that we have the best training center in mining activities in Africa. Even South Africans are coming to the same training center, which was $21 million worth of investments by Mupani. So they've opened doors, we negotiated with them, say no, let them come. Basically, the entry requirements they create because those artisans they train, they're meant to work in the mine. But they said since we're also looking at community development, you can get even grade 9 as long as they can read and write. So giving hope to someone who could have lost hope in life. They didn't have a sponsor. They can't go back to grade 9 to do the exams. All they need to do is to upgrade them with the skills. And Jerome, when you look at most of the artisans working in Australia, Saudi Arabia, Liberia, and India, they're coming from Zambia. You know, these are Zambians who are now being exported to these other countries, earning as much as $10,000, $15,000 because of their productivity and the ability to execute the works. Today, Mupan is complaining of losing labor to these countries which are supporting them because of the school which was invested in. They were invested in Mupani. Mupani has trained them and they are being exported. We also have even job inquiries coming to the same school from Congo because Congo now is producing double the amount of copper producing. So they're looking for skilled labor. So I find that most of the youths who we are trying to restructure and rebuild in life, they'll end up getting jobs abroad and they'll be sending their earnings back home because we always want to invest back home. So Zambia will also earn from not only exporting of the copper, but exporting the labor which is going to produce copper in other countries. So this investment, it may take a bit of time to realize and see the benefit, but it's a right where you can rebuild our society.
That's fantastic, Honorable Mabeta. I'm
Okay.
glad to hear
So
that.
that is just one question, one more question.
Let me
Before.
just make a comment. I'll come back to you. Just
Okay.
hold that thought. But Mabeta, I'm one of the people who've been agitating skills development because I live in a country where young people even refuse to go to uni. Because here in the UK, college education, which is 2 years after finishing tertiary or high school, is compulsory. And then thereafter you go to university. So every student has an opportunity to go to the university. But those who don't want to go, you know what they opt for? Apprenticeship and skills development. They go and learn skills like engineering artisans, plumbing, carpentry, bricklaying. But Mabeta, some of those kids, when they complete, they earn more money than graduates. So Zambia needs those skills, and it's in that industry that Zambia is going to create a lot of jobs because we need plumbers, we need carpenters, and thank you so much for revealing that, for telling us about that. But over to you, Jerome.
Yeah. Honorable, it's good that you have elaborated and you have given people the meaning of free education and the meaning of the money that came through for skills. But the issue which is there is I've heard there are some in some areas. I don't know if Mufulira is affected or Kankoyo is affected, where the pupils who supposed to go for school just for free are being turned away by their headmasters by saying that no, you owe just money last term or whatever term. So I don't know if you're having such an experience, and what can you say to those headmasters who are doing that, asking the parents who didn't pay last year to pay the money this year? Well, it has been said to say free education. Where do they want to take the money, and what do they want to use the money for if the government has said they are going to sponsor and give everything to schools?
I think there is a question from Kepi Malaya on the boarding school bursary. Maybe she doesn't understand. For pupils going to boarding school, the government is only taking care of the exam fees and the other fees without taking care of the food for a pupil going to boarding school. Okay, so if your people can't manage to pay that 1,000 kwacha to be used for ration, for food they eat, breakfast, lunch, and supper while at boarding school, the government is going to pay on their behalf. So that's the money we're talking about, the bursaries for school pupils going to boarding school. Because when you go to boarding school, you're expected to eat from your school, you're expected to eat your meals from school. So those meals will come with a cost. That's where now the government is coming in to subsidize those pupils who can't afford to pay 1,000 kwacha for boarding ration money. So that's a clarification I wanted to make on the free education. Wow, bursaries to support free education also. Then when it comes to pupils who are owing schools, I can say backdated the fees. Today I was at a school, a small school, 1 by 3 class from school, a small school which was built during the MMD era. The headmaster was frank to me to say, in the past we are receiving a grant of 1,000 kwacha. Today we have received a grant of 8,000 kwacha. So that's an increase of 7,000, you know. So schools have received a grant more at once. In the past, they used to wait for us, and when parents would have money to pay, so some parents would give them promissory notes, some parents would give them half pay, some parents would never finish. But today, the government is paying in full at once. They are receiving huge payouts at once. So the school should be able should be have enough resources to write off what they are being owed by the vulnerable pupils who couldn't meet the budget expectation. So the problem we have over Jerome is I blame this to politicians. The civil servant was highly compromised so much that you still have teachers for Lungu who are still bitter over the change of government. So they're doing everything to frustrate the government. They have failed to move on. We still have disgruntled teachers in government. You know, it's not only teachers, in all the institutions, TCs, town clerks, any government institution you go, we still have those people who came in or got a promotion by being by doing partisan politics. So the change of government has come as a hit on them, and they're working hard to frustrate. Or I can ask anyone with such a record is to involve the devs. If the devs don't act, because some devs, obviously, we know they are also teachers for Lungu Group, they should involve the DCs who are going to handle those cases without delay.
Thank you, Honorable Mabeta, about that. Now, moving from Kankoyo to Kabwata, what is your your involvement in Kabwata, and what can you tell us about Kabwata?
Yes, well, actually, we've been given, I think, we've been divided as ministers and backbenchers, members of parliament. We will soon move into Kawata, starting from Saturday, we'll be in Kawata just to ensure that we finish strong, because, you know, politics is like a game. You may start strong, but you finish poor. The most important thing is to be very strong and hit the ground the last 3-4 days, especially when it comes to a by-election. So Bihiting have been given award, Kamlanga award, which has about 21,120 registered voters. Just one word. Kabwata is highly populated. I couldn't believe it when I saw those numbers. Just one word has got 21,000 registered voters. So we're moving in starting from Saturday. We're going to see our involvement there. We're moving with force to ensure that we protect that seat. We know the people of Zambia, we know the voting pattern, we know the voting pattern. There are those who've been voting for PF since 2011. Others joined them in 2016. So they cannot change to vote for UPND. Just like we had people who are MMD and they never voted for PF in their life. And they will never. Some opted even to join UPND to beef up numbers and to see this change which we have. We have a lot of MMDs in UPND who only came in UPND to ensure that they sort out PF, not that there's anything they wanted to benefit from the change of government, or they wanted to settle their political scores. So even in PF now, we still have people in PF, all they want is to sort out political scores with their rival UPND. But we're going to engage those genuine Zambians who want to see the change and explain to them what the government has set up. We have enough to tell the people. We have enough. All we need is to find the right tone to speak to them, the right message, and the right body language. Because sometimes even body language can frustrate a potential voter. The way we approach them, the way we engage them. Are we willing to listen when they're talking? When they say something we don't like, how are we going to handle such negative feedback? It matters a lot. So you're going to see us, I can assure you, come Wednesday next week when we have this conversation to be a different story.
That's fantastic, Honorable Mabeta. And we cannot afford to lose Kabwata, which is a very important constituency. And I've no doubt we'll win Kabwata. But what impressed me so much yesterday was when I saw Dr. Neves Mumba campaigning, the entire MMD executive campaigning for UPND, supporting us, and he said something very interesting yesterday, that the sentence for PF is not 5 months but eternal, which was very interesting. We cannot allow PF to come back. So moving on to Jerome Kanyika, you can see comments. People are so happy to see you. We've got ZAMRA, finally, Jerome. Anti-corruption has arrested some ZAMRA officials, and this is in connection with the Honeybee scandal. What can you tell us or tell the viewers about the arrest, and why significant these arrests are?
Yeah, I thank you. I thank you, Patrick, for that. One thing that people need to know, and why the issue of Honeybee doesn't die, is what really transpired in the issue of Honeybee. The thing that happened was the people were given to take the counterfeit medicines. In short, the people were made to take fake medicines, the medicines that were not certified, and the medicine that has been certified by ZAMRA itself to say these medicines are fake. So in that, we have some people who died after taking those counterfeit medicines, and it's now the source of those people who took and died innocently, who are pushing this matter to be brought to the way it's supposed to be. So people may talk to say, look, Honeybee happened in 2019, but look, up to this is 2022. That's when people are talking about the issues of Honeybee. It is not about the government, but it's about those innocent people who took the medicines and without themselves knowing, their lives were cut short. So now the issue which is there is we need to establish where the problem was. Was the problem with the regulator? So in this situation, there was an issue of a license that was issued on a Sunday. There's no government institution that works on a Saturday and Sunday. All government institutions, they work on a Monday to Friday, and from 08 hours to 17 hours. Now the license was issued on a Sunday. So now we need to understand how the license was issued on a Sunday and who threatened the director at ZAMRA to issue the license on a Sunday, because this director, by that day Sunday, she was resting. But how can she move from home to go and issue a license where everyone has knocked off? So these are some of the issues that we need to wait now to hear from the court of law in terms of what really transpired. Then as we move from there, we need also to find out, to say, the tests were done. Now, when the tests were done, what communications were done to the people, and when was the communication sent? Because if you remember very well, to remind just the viewers, the issue of Honeybee happened, the drugs of Honeybee came in the country on the 3rd of September 2019, if I'm not mistaken. 3rd September 2019, and were given, is it, yeah, 3rd September. The drugs were distributed by 4th September, were in facilities, the Lusaka facilities, and by 8th September, that was, they were in some facilities on the Copper Belt and some other parts of the country. On the 9th of September, that's the first warning that we told the minister that we told the Minister of Health to withdraw the medicine immediately and quarantine them, because when we saw them, we had a problem in terms of letting the people taking those medications. But what really transpired was the people were threatened to be fired, and as a result, people decided now to give the medication. Besides that, on the 9th of September, ZAMRA wrote the letter to the ministry, I think so, and also to the supply of the medication, to withdraw the medication. That's paracetamol, which was in the public domain. But look, the letter that myself I wrote to the members of the public to watch out, it didn't state paracetamol exactly. It stated the entire health center kits that contained about 66 products. That's the letter that I wrote to notify the members of the public to say, watch out, government has supplied fake drugs, and make sure that these drugs, you don't consume them. Yeah. So after 6 months, ZAMRA, that's when now it came out with other tests to confirm what I told them 6 months before, to say these drugs were fake and they should not be consumed by the people. So now the laboratories confirmed that yes, the drugs which we were told were fake. Now the situation which was is people consumed already the medication. 6 months later, by then, government institution didn't have any medication. So the people, once the drugs reaches the hospitals, the people were given the drugs and they consumed the medication. For PF, it was campaigns. They have sorted out the problem of shortages of drugs, but without taking care of the quality of the medication. So that's what now I've been pushing this matter of Honeybee in a lot of problem every time it comes out, because of the people who died after taking this counterfeit Honeybee medication. When people, I know people really ask to say, why didn't people withdraw the medication? Why didn't people listen to what we told we mentioned to them? People should know very well that in the Ministry of Health, people were not free as the way they are right now, where they can chat with the Minister for Health, Honorable Masebo, and she can joke with them, and they can even answer back or whatever, do whatever thing and laugh with her. Last time, it was a boss servant kind of. When you see Chitaru comes, you need to run for your life. and he will tell you to do things that you are not even supposed to do. And when I remember last time I was called, I was called as an association president to the parliamentary committee on health. I mentioned to the parliamentarians to say the people in the Ministry of Health are working with threats. They are threatened on a daily basis, but they couldn't agree. They asked me to cite some examples, and I cited to say there is go to ZAMRA. ZAMRA is on a daily basis threatened by the minister that if they don't approve this, they don't do this, they'll be fired or whatever things. Go to medical stores. I mentioned, and if the parliamentarians asked me to say you have the immunity, mention the person who's threatening them. And I mentioned to say the person who's threatening a civil servant in the Ministry of Health is the Honorable Chitaruchi Rufia, is threatening the members, or is threatening the civil servants, and they are failing to work things they are failing to work according to the ethics that they do have. I didn't hide, and I think it was not common. And by then, actually, everyone, even the parliamentarians, were shocked to see that a person can come and mention a minister's name just like that without fearing for any repercussion. But I said that because I knew what was coming out. When those things now started coming out, people are getting shocked to say this is what is happening because Chita was swift in you may think like this is a messiah, this is an angel. Well, in his way of doing things, that was his way of stealing and making wrong things to be happening. Now, the civil servants that I was saying to say they are being threatened today are the one who are facing the anti-corruption commission and are the one today who have been arrested. So what I'm expecting from the civil servants, I'm expecting them to go say in the courts of law to say, look, we are being threatened, and this is the evidence that we were being threatened over our job. I remember the former director for medical stores was fired 3 times by the minister. You are fired. He couldn't. Where is the letter that I'm fired? The minister can't write the letter. 2 months later, again, he was fired 3 times until the illegal board, which he had to push in, came and fire the former director for medical or stores. And it is unfortunate that a fellow director in a parastatal fired a fellow director in a parastatal. How possible is that? That is the situation that happened at the firing of the medical of the managing director for medical stores. He was fired by his fellow director, who's a director at NIMA, National Health Insurance Scheme. James Kapesa is the one who fired the other director at the medical stores because he was part of the board. That should not be the case. So there are all those kind of illegalities which was happening in the PF administration. And now these things are coming out. And people may think like this is the end. There is more to that. We had a lot of fake drugs that again were supplied to government institutions which were used in theater, where you are operating on a patient. The operation is taking 1 hour. You find that you inject a person with the medication, 20 minutes, 20 minutes later, umuntu mwamfa fyambonkulira. What's happening? So those are the things which were happening under the PF administration. So such kind of lives we lost are the lives that are crying for justice, are the ones that are saying, no, these people should not go without being punished. And I'm foreseeing a lot of people actually being put or being called to go explain the role they played under these issues of Honeybee. And there is more and more things that are going to come out, Patrick.
Thank you, Jerome, about that. And what can I say? I'm certain most of the people will be prosecuted and successfully, because now we've got a new government in place, a president who is serious, does not interfere in the judiciary, and the judiciary that is now motivated because there is political will now, and nobody interferes in their work. And but Jelom, the honeybee issue, we can talk about it the whole day, even 3 days. We've got Honorable Mabeta, who is an MP now. He wasn't there in Parliament then. But Jerome, what's the way forward? Do we need reforms to change how ZAMRA should operate, or what structural changes do we need? Do we need a total overhaul at ZAMRA?
I think the way what we need, Patrick, at ZAMRA, yes, we need to have a serious overhaul in most of the government institutions, especially those that are pertaining to means of health. And moreover, we need to provide them the independence that they need to have. But now, just like to borrow what the Honorable said, we have some ZAMRA Lungu officials, you see, who are there for the purpose of, because they support the Lungu administration and all that. Same with the medical stores. We have the Lungu medical stores people. No wonder even me, I tell you, I even said to say we need also a total overhaul at medical stores, because currently just from the first attend at medical stores, we have seen that they have messed up completely, and now making hospitals going without having the medication that they are supposed to have. Well, because of these technocrats for Lungu have messed up the tendering process, that has resulted in some of the pharmaceutical companies challenging them on the way they have done in terms of the tendering. Then in terms of ZAMRA, we need to do a lot of total overhaul and the structure adjustments to ZAMRA, because the ZAMRA structure is very bad and does not respond to the way and the needs of the members of the public. As you know very well that first, the ZAMRA structure only odds up to about 120 people. But look, we are 18 million Zambians, and we have a lot of border posts and entry points for drugs. So the structure itself limits the way ZAMRA should operate. To again, the structure itself, it tells you to say the country can be infiltrated with a lot of counterfeit medication. No wonder the last time I saw a report, it was indicating that in Zambia we have 85% of counterfeit medicines that move in circulation, actually in private and government institutions. This now brings about a problem where some embassies, if you, Patrick, were in the UK, you are coming to Zambia, your embassy will write to say you need to come with your medication if you're on chronic condition. The US embassy did the same, and other embassies, they do tell their people to come with their medication they buy from their own country to come with them in Zambia. Why is it that? Because of the same matter of institutions that's supposed to do the work, they are failing to do the work accordingly due to some political interference. So these are some of the challenges. We hope that the institution is now very much independent, but the issue is they have already given the market authorizations to companies that have counterfeit medication, that supply counterfeit medication. What's supposed to be done? I feel and I think ZAMRA should first cancel all the market authorizations and restart retesting the medication to protect the Zambian people. To say this, I was invited as a president of Pharmaceutical Society of Zambia to attend the society, Pharmaceutical Society of Zimbabwe, their general meeting. And the message that came from there, their members and other senior government officials in Zimbabwe were complaining to say we are receiving a lot of fake drugs coming from through the Zambian borders. So that itself is putting us in a very awkward situation as a country. If Zimbabwe, the way we talk about its economic and other things, can complain that Zambia is the source of the counterfeit medicine, well, Zimbabwe, with all the challenges, they don't tolerate counterfeit medicines. Why should we go in that? And moreover, with all the challenges that we had in the Kaunda era, we didn't have such kind of counterfeit medicines. Go to Afghanistan, where there is a serious ozone. You'll not find them having a problem with counterfeit medicines. But with all the peace, with all the state machinery we have in Zambia, can we talk about 85% of the drugs being counterfeit? That's something unacceptable. No wonder I'm saying what is needed first, let's cancel all the market authorizations and redo and retest. And moreover, ZAMRA should also have a situation where they go check the pharmaceutical company that is manufacturing those medication, where they are coming from. Some of the drugs are made in the backyards of some places in India. So you wonder, some now we are even having some drugs that are coming from China, which are made also from the backyard. So if we don't go to follow up these pharmaceutical companies to see where they are manufactured from, then we are going to have a problem. And in Zimbabwe, they do the same thing to them. If you want to register, they need the inspectors go to that pharmaceutical company that manufacture and check. They tick to say this pharmaceutical company can supply drugs, no problem. We can give a market authorization to this pharmaceutical company. But in Zambia, I don't do that. So we are prone, you see, we are prone to have the issues of a lot of counterfeit medication. And the other challenge which is there is we have no standard in terms of checking how purified our APIs are supposed to be. We have no standards in Zambia. Anything can pass through and it can be said it's a medicine, people should start consuming, provided you are just paid the market authorization fees, which is about $2,000, if I'm not mistaken. So these are some of the issues that have been hindering the country and the Zambian people from getting the best from their medications. And this is now the issue that we need to consider as the ministry they are making the boards for these institutions. They need to look to people who have integrity and a foresight on the way they want to protect the Zambian people. Because again, if you have a board that is compromised, you are going to have a situation. And I keep saying, and I'll repeat again, most of the pharmacists, about 80%, 90%, their integrity levels is very poor, very bad actually. Provided you show them money, they are ready to sell you and they sell the country, where they can even allow any counterfeit medicine to become into this country. So that itself tells you to say they are not professional in the way they conduct their thing. And unfortunately, that's 90% of my fellow professional mates. So we need to change the perception and the way we look at the profession of pharmacy, unlike the way we have been looking at it. It's not about money. It's about protecting the Zambian community.
Thank you so much, Jerome. Honorable Mabeta, you are in Parliament now. And these organizations we're having problems with, they were formed as a result of an act of Parliament. What is your take as a member of Parliament? Thank you. You are muted, Honorable Mabeta.
Thank you for the reminder. Thank you. The missing link we had in Zambia was the total collapse of the systems and following procedures, you know. That's why in every case of Achilofia, if you are to see, there's always a non-person. There's always acting together with a non-person. Why? Because there was an invisible hand which was controlling the system. So the emphasis of all instructions to be written down, that law should be, I think it should be strengthened so that you can protect the innocent people who today are going to be arrested. Most of these civil servants, most of the directors, most of the PS, unfortunately, they're going to go to jail for the crimes they never committed. There was an invisible hand which was controlling them. It gave them verbal instructions, which if they didn't abide to, then they risk being arrested or being retired or national interest. I just saw one person was arrested today, 67 years, meaning this person was almost clocking, they were even above the retirement age. So could someone, how easy was it for them to risk losing their lifetime pension because of failure to follow verbal instructions? So the law to protect the civil servant, because ministers, usually those who give instructions to the civil servants, they don't get their hands dirty in these transactions. That's why at the end of the day, the only way you can get them involved is to squeeze those who are instructed. But again, it's their word against those who give them the instruction. If they don't have written evidence, they don't have proof to say for sure they're instructed to take those actions, they're going to go to jail on their roads over, and those who give them the instructions, they're going to walk cost-free. You know, when you see a lot of ministers who are involved in this scandal, they're so arrogant. They're so arrogant that you even wonder to say where they're getting their strength. It's because they know to say they gave verbal instructions. If they didn't keep any evidence to show, to say for sure the act was compromised or they're being threatened, those threats we are talking about, being fired verbally, anything which happened without a written evidence, it will fall on the head of those who made who executed the instructions. Now we are happy. I think we have a president who has given a word to say, oh, ministers should always issue. They should issue official instruction, but it has we don't want to depend on the type of president for things to be done. We need to have laws which protect. If you are given a verbal instruction and it's not written, then the person who's being pushed to break the law should be protected. But in the past, it was so difficult. It's unfortunately most of the PSS, most of civil servants, the cashiers, young people who joined the government at the tender age, they are today going to court. And just like Jerome said, there's a lot of rot coming out. There's a lot. Junior officers were involved. It was free for all, It was free for all, Bachirusha. So all we need is to strengthen the laws which also protect the person in the food chain, at the bottom of the food chain, because they're the one who execute the jobs. It's so unfortunate that PF has messed a lot of careers for people. A lot of families are broken because of the way they conducted their businesses.
Thank you so much, Honorable Mabeta, on that education. Now, viewers, we've been joined by two other Bakwetu family members who are no other than Dr. Barbara Chanda and Honorable Mukelevai. Dr. Barbara Chanda, I know you're a doctor. Can you please comment on or ask a question on the topic of the honeybee? Do we need reforms? Or what do we need to do to avoid such things happening going forward?
Thank you very much, Patrick, and it's a pleasure to have you all the time, Honorable Mabeta. Jerome, thank you very much for giving us all the information and being on top of things. And good evening, Wom Kelebai, and everybody else. Hope you're all having a good evening. What is shocking is that we don't seem to have respect for life. We need to have, as a country, as a people, we need to have respect for life. If there's one thing, stealing an apple to enrich yourself may affect people in one or the other, but to directly affect medication that people are taking, that's the same as being a terrorist, because you're killing people indirectly. I remember some around 2020, I suffer from glaucoma myself, so I need eye drops all the time. I was speaking to somebody within Zambia, and they were telling me that they've been taking eye drops and they're not working. They went to the hospital, they were put on, medication, as an emergency to reduce the pressure in the eyes, and nothing happened. So at the time I was thinking, how is it possible that you can have all this medication and nothing is changing? Where somebody starts thinking that Barbara Limbibulo shouldn't be, that you start giving an alternative to people. They're thinking there's something at play. That's why their pressure is not going down, that maybe someone is just bewitching them. All this because somebody has created that situation. So I think we need to have a reform, and most importantly, us who are in professional bodies like pharmacists, nurses, doctors, we need to have a rigid ethic that if you fail, you can be prosecuted right there and then, so that it stops people from doing certain things. Because right now, unfortunately, in Zambia, we take professionals as a religion, like we just think a nurse will be kind because kindness. It doesn't work like that. That person needs to be trained to have communication, to have empathy. All those things are trained. You have to teach somebody. The pharmacists have to be taught that if you do this, you lose your license. Right there and then it should be pure in black and white. Here in UK, even just removing one tablet, you go to the pharmacist, they give you medication, one tablet is missing, 3 people have to sign for it. You don't just take it for granted, because you can trace it to where it started. And that's how we really have to be about healthcare. And I'm really proud of you, Jerome, because you've really been pushing this. In other places, you'd literally be a hero, because this is not a minor scandal. It's a massive scandal. Imagine somebody has got appendicitis, they go to surgery, you give them an anesthetic hoping that they'll sleep out before they have the surgery. The next thing, it's not working and the person is in pain. That's abject pain. And then these people who've done this are just walking around scot-free, having their wine in the houses and pretending it's normal. We have to make sure that everybody sees these people as criminals. They are really criminals and they should be prosecuted, even if they did not offer verbal, even if it was verbal association where you can't really catch them in the courts. I think even by association, something has to be done. Maybe a reform should be put in place where by association, somebody should, answer for what they've done. Unfortunately, in Zambia, you can't follow up people who've died, who took what medicine, because of the paper keeping in the hospitals is not very adequate. Otherwise, this is it's shocking. It's criminal. I think that the government now in place should look into serious professional punishment if things go wrong, if people don't follow the rules. If you have pharmacists who can sell their soul, just imagine those of us who suffer from chronic illnesses, we literally depend on medication to be who we are. Imagine you go and buy eye drops and they don't work. That means you'll be blind within a short time. That's very, very bad. I think we definitely need reforms. And most importantly, us as Zambians, us as a people, we need to start respecting life. Life is not just about money. Just, you have to tremble. If somebody dies, you should feel scared. You should worry that, if I do this, somebody is going to die. Oh, this is so annoying. Anyway, I submit to Patrick.
Thank you so much, Dr. Barbara, for that. Honorable Mukelevai, what's your take on the honeybee before we move into another important topic for Honorable Mabeta?
Kimanzi wani wo Honorable Mabeta muchwani? Tumezi muzule chani. Muzwira hande. What Jeremy, thank you so much. Tumezi, how are you? Kimanzi wani sichavasa hesu, sichavasa bulozi, komulutwela kaufela, kiluna wake elumitela, ni makande aluna singanyi saikambwa safa Bakwetu TV. Thank you so much, the panelists. You have said it all.
and I'll just if I say something, I think I'll just ruin everything that you guys have just alluded. It is such a wonderful program to listen to, and what Jeremy, kudos, just keep an eye, and we see the dividends. Things are happening. The arrests have been made, and we're hoping that more arrests will be made. But we don't want to just see arrests. We want to hear sentencing where people are being convicted. And to these other guys who are in the opposition, all the opposition leaders, I saw your clip where you gathered and wanted to speak. To my advice is that don't worry, HH is under control. Don't be scared. I know your fear is that he may go back to the Lungu way or the Chiluba way of doing things. But trust me, this president has raised this bar high, that anyone that will be aspiring to go for presidency and challenge Hakainde Chilema has to be really clever and has to be very, very, none of you who were on that panel, all those panelists that were on that group, I don't know, including Kalaba, I was actually disappointed because I had so much respect. But to see the manner in which you guys were articulating matters, it is just too early. And you should just say, we should just tell you to say, we need checks and balances, but it's just too early. Take your time. Honorable in Parliament, please. We know we have laws already in Zambia that are governing us. We have regulations, and we just need to amplify. And please raise these matters in Parliament so that we can hear from the legislature point of view on how do we tackle some of these challenges. Corruption in Zambia, it is now like malaria. Ngawakwata fiumutwe atini malaria. Ngawakwata koefiensha atini malaria. That's what the people now think. They are not taking it as a serious matter. And life, like what Barbara put it, you say we don't take life seriously. It is not even about the way we take life. It's about us, ourselves. There's too much self-hate. This self-hate, we should, because do unto others as you'd want them to do unto you. But this is not what is happening. We can tell that we hate each other. We hate ourselves so much that we would rather destroy our neighbor's life, we would destroy and extract or deprive them of the things that they're entitled by virtue of them being just a normal human being. Air, for example, the air we breathe, we don't even take it so seriously. We just come and then we can take it away from you. So this persecution you purport, you, the opposition, these are not persecutions. We used to tell you, Tuale mieva kutilati, the manner in which you're running the affairs of the state, it is not the right way. Even when you were getting those big checks and amount of money, you know that it was not making sense. It was not for greater good. It was for your own benefit. So when you see police officers indicting you, when you see police officers coming to you, it doesn't mean that you are being persecuted. These are sins. You gave them a probable cause. The properties that you acquired within the shortest period of time. This is why you are being arrested or questioned. So don't play this victim card. Shame on you. You should be feeling ashamed because we told you so. And please mind the way you communicate back to the people. We are not stupid. So the Kabwata Bye Election, we know our MP the way he died. There are a lot of questions there, and we don't want to go in details because it is under investigations. So whatever is going to happen there, we know that the Kabwata people voted for UPND because they voted for change. And there's no way within 2-3 months they can change their mind because this president has come with a very different special taste. So please, Zambians, Bakawata, Lwamilapela, Lwamikupa, don't go back to the people that really, really drove us back, that erased Zambia on the world map. Today, we are happy that the world is appreciating, is thanking us for our democratic principles that we have. So please, Kabwata, can you vote wisely? We know we are a democratic, we can't force you to vote for a political party you don't want, but we want change. We are in this line of change. So let's just dwell on the positivity and embrace love. Let's practice what we preach. Let's not call each other Christians. Then we do the wrong stuff, killing our brothers by supplying them with fake medicine. And when you're arrested for having done that, then you come and play this victim card. Twamikanina, lumihanezi, alulati, alulatilindwa, lubanabamulimuluna. We need peace and tranquility. And buhata mutuele mazambians buhata nilusevo. Stop it. Wetumes.
Thank you so much, Honorable Mukelebai. Moving on.
Patrick.
Yes, but Dr. Barbara.
I just wanted to answer one of the, there's a comment about one of the followers asking why Zambian doctors like offering injections instead of tablets. So I just wanted to answer them that, you know, Zambian doctors don't just offer injections from without. Zambia is a third world country, and most of our population, when they go to hospital, they are very ill. Unlike in the first world, where the first line of treatment will usually be antibiotics or tablets for whatever you have, that's because you go to hospital when you're relatively feeling fine. The NHS is free. Most places people can afford. Back home in Zambia, most people don't have access to money. They don't have access to a lot of things. They'll be working, they'll be at home until it's really, really bad. So by the time somebody is going to hospital, they will be needing those injections. They will be needing a drip because they've probably been trying other things at home for months and months or weeks because they can't even afford to go to the hospital. So that's the reason. It's not that Zambian doctors just want to inject people without, you know, without reason. It's because of the circumstances. I submit.
Thank you so much, Dr. Barbara, for clarifying that. But Dr. Mabeta, you are still in trouble. Corruption, which to me is a cancer, and it has to be eradicated if we have to move on as a nation. Today, I think you've all heard that FIC rebuked Standard Bank or Stanbic, Standard Bank South Africa, for not reporting according to the law, what the law stipulates, because FIC is an enforcement agency, which is also an act of parliament, and banks are supposed to report certain payments going through the bank. Like in the UK, if you deposit anything 5,000 or 10,000 pounds, they will report to the watchdog, which is FIC in Zambia. And they might even phone you. You deposited 10,000 pounds. Where did you get it from? Or you received some money from abroad. Where did the money come from? They need to report that. But Stanbic hasn't been reporting. So we're still on reforms by Mabeta. In the UK, Standard Bank South Africa or Stanbic, they would have been reprimanded badly by the watchdog, the equivalent of FIC. Not just reprimanding them, There are even some penalties, punitary. So, Mabeta, I've seen there are no punitary reprimands or penalties in most of our laws. You know, like Bank of Zambia is a watchdog also for the banks. It's an act of parliament also, though it's a company. So if Bank of Zambia finds Bank of Zambia has got laws or regulations which states that a bank cannot keep more than so much money in their safe. And if a bank is found keeping more money than they are required to, they can be punished. That punishment is also punitary. They have to pay some money. There are fees attached or penalties in terms of money attached to those punishments. They're clearly stated. So, Mabeta, you're a member of parliament. Shouldn't we start not just reprimanding them verbally or in writing? Should we start charging those organizations going forward? You know, because this happens in all developed worlds. You know, one of the biggest banks in the world, or the biggest bank in the UK, which is I've just forgotten the name now. It's Hong Kong Banking Corporation, HSBC. HSBC was laundering money, you know, for criminals. This is in the open. And when the Reserve Bank discovered, and other watchdogs, they were fined, I think, close to £500 million. So, Mabeta, do we have such punitive fees to these organizations, or do we need to reform? You know, to make some reforms whereby we start charging, because Standard Bank, they should operate according to the laws of Zambia. And if they're supposed to report customers, they have to report them. So what should we do? Do we need reforms? Thank you, Mabeta.
Yeah, I think when I was working for the bank, the procedure we used to do is every time there was a customer depositing money more than there we expect, because when you open an account, you're given a form to fill in the expected transactions, the amounts are going to do. So immediately a customer wants to deposit an amount more than they declared, the system will quickly notify you. Then the customer is given a form to fill in what the source of money, purpose, to meet the anti-money laundering, international standards of anti-money laundering. So what has been shocking now, there was a case which I was following, where a senior former ministers in the PF government opened an account using a son's fake NRC. You know, a senior minister, by then was the information minister, went to the bank with an NRC for the son, who wasn't even a director in the company, and opened an account using a fake NRC for the son. What made the NRC fake was the age on that account. On the age on the account, so that this person was born before the time he was eligible to. I mean, he was born after so many years. There's some funny thing about the NRC. This was the case for Chimba Kamwe. Let me be specific. So I was wondering to say, how did that bank open that account using a fake NRC? Because KYC, know your customer, is very critical in the bank. So there are a lot of flaws and a lot of frauds which are committed. Serious financial, these crimes, the fraud which went through the PF, the banks were put under a lot of pressure where they even broke the law, knowing very well to say what they were doing was wrong. So for Stanbic, maybe the regulator have been a bit kind by fining them with 405,000 kwacha. I saw a fee on them. They have been a little bit kind, knowing the condition and the pressure the banks are operating in. Because if the regulator was to go in and investigate and go with an iron fist, you find that all the banks will be closed. Faith Musonda, how did she manage to withdraw 65 million kwacha cash from Zanaco? You know, how are these the politicians being able to do transactions? How did Chimbakambwili demand for $30 million from Bank of Zambia? Bank of Zambia doesn't hold the personal accounts, but how did Kambwili call the former bank governor to demand for $30 million cash to be withdrawn from the Bank of Zambia. It doesn't hold the personal account. So even the financial system collapsed under the fear. All the banks were put under so much pressure that they had to compromise to survive. Just see some of these MDs, senior members of the bank, the CEOs, they're always at State House. They were always found with the president, the government functions. What were they doing? Why are bank managers so much around the politicians? It's all compromise. A bank manager should only do business with the politician. When I go to the bank, I want a product, or they can come, they sell the products, and they're not attending government or political function. So the PF had messed up all the system. The churches are crying. I just saw a group of clergies yesterday lamenting and promising to never get involved in politics. They've been bent, So the whole system collapsed. The level of lawlessness in this country, it was total. It has collapsed completely. You find that even maybe workers in the bank tell us they were told to draw money on in these politicians' account without politicians signing for them. If you have to follow this transaction, you find that politicians drew money without signing the withdrawal slip. Why? Because they made it so easy and lukewarm. One would say, I wanted 200,000, but you can get a 10 pin for a drink. Let me have that withdrawal sign when I come back. We've seen these transactions happening. So there was total collapse in the system too for the benefit of the politicians. Stanbic could be the first one, but they're not the only one. I believe there are a lot of banks which never followed the laws, and that's why there was so much money moving around from one pocket to the other. Because in a normal economy, if you want to withdraw money, the bank has to question you. We are taking colossal sums of money. But if people are keeping money, how did that money get into the houses? It comes through the bank, because no one makes money. So the financial sector collapsed. It's very important that now onwards, we strengthen institutions' function. FIC also shouldn't wait for the change of government to enforce these penalties. That transaction happened in 2020. Why has it taken 2 years for FIC to enforce such a corrective measure on Stanbic? So many even FIC was toothless.
Mama Mabeta, thank you so much on that. And the other point I wanted to make, Mama Mabeta, you are in parliament. I think 404,000 kwacha. Like, I can borrow the word from Honorable Lusambo. It's change. They need to charge them real money to deter such kind of nonsense. Like I gave you an example where HSBC was charged almost £1 billion. The reason is to deter, to prevent other banks and organizations do that. I think, my Honorable, when you look at these reforms, they need to hike the penalties. That's the only way they can stop it. We'll be finishing our program in a while. And I'm going to ask Barbara, Dr. Mkelebai, just to, summarize, make a final statement, 2 minutes each. And then Honorable Mabeta can summarize, make his closing remarks, and we finish. Over to you, Dr. Barbara.
Thank you so much, Patrick. It's been a wonderful presentation today that you've done, and Honorable Mabeta and Hon Kelebai, and even Jerome, even though he's left. The first things first, I would like to share with our viewers that we need to start treating life as sacred, whether it's your neighbor or your friend, just starting from ourselves. Life is precious and we should respect one another's life. 2, we should start having, taking ownership of whatever is going on in our communities, because ultimately that's our community. Starting from even simple things, pafishala itikonga fya flama street mulepitafe then mulela umuntu atoloka pafiko afisa namatati kwena muno musaka mwafiko No. We have to take ownership ourselves to clean our cities, to clean our towns. If I clean my surrounding, my neighbor cleans the surrounding. Ultimately, the whole surrounding will be clean. If I respect life in my small community, my neighbor respects life, we'll all look after one another. There won't be an issue of somebody, selling us wrong drugs, because somebody will quickly say that there's something wrong without having to go through the circles. And then 3, just to, hopefully in the constituencies, because I missed that part of it, I hope we can have a pilot scheme where they have demographics so that we know like how many primary school kids are in this constituency, how many secondary schools, so that when the MPs are doing their job, you can narrow it down to, in this constituency, there are so 2,000 grade 12, there, like the way it used to be UNIP era, where they actually know where one is, so that it makes life easier for them. So hopefully they can have a pilot study, then send it around the whole country. All in all, it's good to be Zambian, proud to be Zambian. If we are proud of who we are, we can make a better place for our own country. I submit.
Thank you so much, Dr. Barbara, for that closing remark. Over to you, Honorable Mukelevai.
Thank you so much. It was wonderful. It was an amazing program. Thank you, Honorable Mabeta, for that, for the insightful information that you've given us. You are really an asset to Bakwetu and an asset to Zambia. And the people of your constituency, they are so lucky to have you. My views are that, or rather my advice, I don't know, many people may not even take it because it's coming from Mukelevai, but by virtue of me being a Zambian, I feel that I should say this anyways. Whoever takes it, it's up to him, and whoever rejects it, it's your prerogative. Let us embrace each other and support one another, not just by showing teeth, and then behind, then you go and talk, backbite about your friends or your brother, your neighbor, your sister. Let us embrace this love that we show. Let it be real. And when we see somebody who is doing well in society, let's not kill their dreams. Let us go there and emulate, or ask, how did you reach this far? Because what I see is there's a spirit of negating people, bringing down, killing spirits. A young child, as a youth, has come up with, is very, very talented. Is coming up with a very innovative idea. Instead, adults, they just run around and grab that innovation and take it as their own, and then put that kid on the floor and then cover him with a carpet, killing the dreams. We should not kill people's dreams. What we see from this government, of this HH of ours, our president, we see that he is trying to embrace the future. He's trying to build the country for the future generation to not struggle when they reach there. Let us rally behind him. I'm calling upon the lawyers, the legal fraternity. You are the people that are supposed to come in and help out. You don't just sit back and charge those fees that you charge your clients and then go to court, put on those tie and go back home and relax. We want you to step in and help the government. You know who did what. You know, you have evidence. You know, you have even the know-how. We am asking you guys, the Law Association of Zambia, to advise your lawyers to please be professional and let them come forward and help the state. We know you don't want pro bono, you want to charge, but at least we see you doing something than preventing and protecting or frustrating the fight of corruption. And you are the people who are advising these people who stole on how to defend themselves, on what to say. You even send them to go to police. They cannot do that with their own knowledge, knowing their caliber. They can't. But it is you, the legal profession, the legal minds. I'm asking you guys to please come to the government's aid. The government trained you, and you need, it's high time you plowed back. Not if you're kuyumfwa, when shotuma motok. Coming to you, the engineers, we want you as well to come to the aid of the government. Look at the road networks, look at the infrastructure, innovation programs that have been frustrated under your nose. You are professions, you are called professionals for a reason. Doctors, you are called doctors for a reason. Come to our aid, like what our sister here is doing, giving pro bono advice that we can pay for if we are to go privately. But because she loves Zambia, she's here trying to give it for free. So I'm calling upon all professionals, the journalists, report cases equitably, fairly, not favoring a certain group and trying to put a bad paint on the government that is trying to do something positive. Something is happening in Zambia. For the first time, free education is coming back. Why are we not lagging behind instead of us busy negating this president who is trying to make our lives easy? We have demonized this man for far too long. Yet this is the man who's coming to save us. He is saving us, and you should be ashamed of yourselves for you who are busy demonizing him. You've demonized him from the time he started 25 years ago. And today you are here still demonizing him, even when he won, and he's trying to show you his good heart, what he's meaning. He means well. I'm sorry, otherwise I almost got caught up there. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Bom Kelebai, on that wonderful closing remarks. Over to you, Honorable Mabeta, closing remarks. Thank you so much.
Yeah, no, I think many thanks again. It's always one of the programs I enjoy to be in. I keep on learning from Vajerom. I've learned a lot on the pharmaceutical procedures. I think it gives me a base to have a better understanding and a wider knowledge of what goes on in other fields which I may not be privy to. So he explained a lot of things, counterfeit drugs, what I've learned a lot. This really gives me a platform to learn more and maybe give me a better understanding and wider scope of what really goes on in our country. I think like Dr. Barbara said and Bom Kereva, it's all about, for once, Zambians, let's be proud of who we are, Let's talk about the good things. In the past years, I know there was so much hate speech. There was so much hatred. For the first time in our country, we saw politics becoming a channel of hatred. Everything was done to hate someone. The language used was so vulgar, and we took that as a standard. We thought politics a dirty game. In politics, it's all about saying bad things about somebody instead of, building people. There are people who have been destroyed because of just being in politics. So we need to run away and let's not glorify whoever wants to take us back. We have moved on as Zambians. We don't want any hate speech. We don't want any vulgar language. We can still do politics without being vulgar. Let's be proud of who we are. Why can't we be like the Americans? When you ask someone from America, the first thing they'll tell you, I'm Jameson from America. Jefferson, the American, they always attach it's like America is their son, and they're so proud of their country. Even as Zambians, we may be poor, yes, but we've got two things which no other country has at the moment. There's peace and tranquility in our country, and we have demonstrated that we can unite as one people. We are one people. This is the only country where someone will say hi to you even when they don't know you. I've been to other countries. The people are so cold that even feel out of place wherever you go, because no one's going to even talk to you. The only time someone's going to talk to you is when I want to get something from them. But here in Zambia, we are so caring, we are so loving. This this evil which went through of building hate, let's do away with it. Zambians are not people full of hate. We have overcome hate. By changing the government, we have defeated, love has defeated hatred. This country was so divided. Believe you me, Machirufia, if UPND won this election, this time could have been extinct. That's why I always say the people of Kankoyo are not lucky to have me. I'm so lucky to have the support of the people of Kankoyo because they've defeated all odds. I'm in a constituency where I can say I'm a son to the settlers. My parents are settlers in the constituency. They come from another region, but majority of the people in Kankoyo, they come from Lapura province. But see how much they voted, how much they right behind. They've clearly killed the tribalism which was being penetrated by PF. They rejected it. Out of 9 councillors, 9 wards, they only have 2 councillors for UPND, 7 are PF. That just shows how much the people of Kankoyo sided with me. So I'm so lucky to have such support, and I want to work for them to be proud voters come ever again 2023. We have to continue raising the bar. It's not only the president who should raise the bar. Even us who've been given a chance to be members of parliament, we need to continue raising the bar so that the person who shall come after us should have found a standard which they shouldn't go below. Many thanks, and I hope to see you next week as I update you what will be the situation in Kabwata.
Thank you so much, Honorable Mabeta. And we thank you so much for always coming when we need you, despite your busy schedule. And we're looking forward to next week's program with you. And all I can say before I close this program is that it's not what Zambia should do for you, is what you should do for Zambia. And mind you, listeners and fellow Bakwetu family, we've got only one Zambia. And we need to cherish that Zambia. We need to bring back Ubuntu. Kaunda coined it humanism. Love your neighbor as you love yourself. If we follow that, there will never be corruption in Zambia. I thank you all. Good night. May God bless our beloved mother Zambia. Thank you so much. Bye for now. Goodbye.